Hey guys, welcome to Nursing Home Insider Behind the Call Light. And so, the first video about the nursing homes, I discussed how it was going to be the whole truth and behind the scenes and stuff like that. So, I want to do this video about that. That it's not all pudding cups and bingo. I don't know why that everybody seemed to like that phrase. So, we could use that. We can use Sunday church and sing-alongs. But anyway, it is so much more than that. And I know that there are a lot of you that are struggling with either you have one there and maybe they're not in a good place, or maybe you're having to think about this and you are wondering, is it a good option, nursing homes? So like I said, I've had all kinds of experience, been all kinds of um, different jobs in nursing homes, activity director, social service director, CNA for years. So I've also had a lot of comments on, especially on TikTok, about how awful every single nursing home is. And that's just not true. And so they've had bad experiences. I've had bad experiences. I know that it can be true. So just the other day, I was waiting at the doctor's office and I thought I would Google all of the nursing homes close to me here and see uh, their ratings. So I would say like 90% of them had 4.5 stars or better. There was one that had very, very low star rating, like 1.5. So I thought maybe this week I'm going to try to go over there and maybe do some interviewing. um, but yeah, so I mean those reviews are great. They're not always indicative of something, because a family member can get upset about something and then go and just write an awful review. You definitely need to do the digging yourself. So anyway, we want to look up at the reasons. Let's look at the reasons why, first of all, they get the bad rap, and why there are bad nursing homes. That shouldn't even be a thing, but it is. Staff. That goes without saying. I think your CNAs and your nurses are very important, and as far as the care that the people are getting, and they're understaffed. More than likely, they care. I've seen some that do not care. I don't even know why they're there. So the other day, I just texted some of my CNAs that I know and asked them, why they do what they do. I didn't even have to ask those, because I knew what they were going to say, because they're great CNAs that love the people, that take care of their people. So that's not the ones I need to interview. I need to interview the ones that are, I don't know why they're there, just for a paycheck. But understaffing and the staff, bad staff, good staff tends to leave if they're not treated right at a place. And then you're left with people that are new or people that don't care. And that's where you get some in bad situations in a nursing home. I've got a lot of notes I've written down, so I can't do all this from memory. Okay, so burnout, of course, like I said, because of the good staff, they do get burned out because they're short-staffed, and the good ones always show up and they're always doing their job, and then they don't hire any more help, or they don't for whatever reason, then the good people end up quitting. So that's definitely an issue. The second would be corporate, big, huge nursing home companies that just want to fill beds. And there are some of those. And there are some big corporations that are great. And then there's nonprofits that are, smaller, and you could say they tend to care more, but they also are a little tighter with their money flow. And so they may not have access to the money that, for a bus or whatever that people may need to get where they want to go. So that's another reason. And third, I'm going to say families, because you've got families that trust the nursing home way too much and just give them free reign. And then the staff knows they're, or the people that don't show up at all, they don't care. So if they don't have anybody coming to check up on them, then you're going to see some bad stuff sometimes. So let me just say, if you're a family member and you have someone in a nursing home or you're thinking about, I'll just tell you, the ones that have families that are there all the time, they're going to get better care. And that's sad to say, but that is definitely the truth. If if you're there and you're always on your P's and Q's and you know what's going on, your family member's taken care of, and that's important. So I'm going to just give you a little story from when I was a CNA years ago. I would have, on my normal floor, I had like 12 to take care of, sometimes 16, but most of the time it was 12. And I could do that. I had plenty of time. I could do my best job. I could do the extra stuff, like take them outside and sit them in the fresh air and whatever. But on the days that somebody didn't call in and they didn't have help, and you're stuck with 21, 24 residents, how in the world can I give the best care? And I can't. It's impossible. I can do my very best, and I tried to do that. I didn't take breaks. I didn't do anything. I just worked to get everybody taken care of the best I could. So that's just a fact. And it's not just nursing homes. Hospitals are short staffed. I just think it's getting worse and worse, the staffing. And so, we're going to talk about other options too later, because they're not always great either. I saw a TikTok video that just made me cry. They had hired a friend of theirs to watch her mother, and I guess they had cameras everywhere, and that's a very good idea. So this woman was talking to this lady so awfully. I mean, it was, oh my God, I just couldn't believe it. And that was a friend of the family they had hired to take care of their mother in their home. So, it doesn't matter. You just got to do your due diligence to make sure they get the best care. Okay. And then I did a short video on how to advocate for your loved one and how not to advocate for your loved one as a family member. So you can check those videos out too. They're just shorts, so they're not long. So how in the world, what are some ways that you can make sure your loved one is doing well? Okay, first, if they're capable of taking care of most of their own things and verbally telling people what they need and their mind is good, they're gonna speak up for themselves. If they can't, you need to show up at odd times. There's a reason the graveyard shift gets a bad rap. And sad to say. I mean, I've worked graveyard before, and I had a whole floor to myself, and worked 7 at night to 7 in the morning nonstop. I didn't stop. So that's just a fact. If you can show up 11 o'clock, midnight, and most nursing homes, like the state requires you to be able to go anytime you want. And you need to make sure that that's something you can do. And you can show up when you want. When I was in charge of CNAs at an assisted living memory care unit, I popped in at 1, 2 in the morning, to see what was going on. So that's always a good idea. Okay, so do that. And then look at the other things I said on the advocating. I'm not going to go into all this now, but you need to be the squeaky wheel, because you'll be heard without being ugly. You don't have to be ugly. Like I said, most of these girls do care. Just short staffed. So if you're there making the noise, your family is going to be taken care of. Good nursing homes do exist. I've worked in some, and they weren't the fancy ones. They weren't the ones. One of my favorite places I ever worked, and the best staff that we ever had that worked together, was an older nursing home. It didn't have all the fancy, lobby and all that, but the people there cared, and they got taken care of. Okay. I have a sheet. I'm going to put it down below that, it's got the questions that you need to ask when you go look for a nursing home. Even assisted livings, any of those things. Okay. We're going to talk about that too. Okay. So I want to give you just some facts. And it's kind of scary for those of us that are getting older. They're calling it the silver tsunami. Okay. And like right now, there are like 15,000 nursing homes in the United States with 1.3 million people in the nursing homes. Now, by 2030, which is 5 years from now, we're dealing with 3 million instead of 1.3 million. Okay. Wow. 70% of 65 and older will need some kind of care in the next 10 years. Okay. We're talking, it's just like, I mean, I'm in the real estate, venue too, and looking at getting some homes for seniors that, that'd be another option for me. Like it kind of not a group home, but kind of like an assisted living home. So those are coming up. People are doing those everywhere. Okay. Because the fact is this generation of Gen X and the baby boomers, especially the baby boomers. So for the next 10, 15, 20 years, there are so many, they call them boomers for a reason. And they're all getting older. So that's why the numbers are jumping so high. And there has to be solutions. And I think that's my heart right now, is to try to find some solutions because, okay, so nursing homes definitely, like they're out there and there's going to need to be more of them and there's going to have to be more care. You can stay at home if you have the money. I mean, you don't want to pay somebody $10 an hour to look after you're going to get what you pay for. It's my dad's favorite saying. So $20, $25 an hour is about average if you want a good person to take care of your family member. And you add that up, and if it's around the clock, that's huge if you have the money. So these new assisted livings that are coming up are about $7,000 to $10,000 a month, and that's cash. There are places with waiting lists for low income, and like down here in Louisiana, the waiting list is awful. So then they have to go to nursing homes if they don't have anywhere else to go. So the choices are just not great. And I want to see great choices. So we either make the nursing homes better one room at a time by families standing up and speaking up and, making sure things get done, because that's how it's going to happen. Those are important things to me. Making sure that people are not being mistreated in any fashion, whether they're at home, like that one I told you about, memory care units, assisted livings, nursing homes, group homes. There's abuse everywhere. So it's not just nursing homes. And there are some really great people working in some nursing homes. And that's just truth. Great nurses. And there's some bad ones. I had one not long ago that was, one of the residents was cussing at her. And she chose to cuss right back. I mean, I just don't think that is acceptable behavior at all. So, you have that, and you have ones that go out of their way to make birthdays special and, just more good than bad for me. Okay. But like I said, so if you can find a good one, there's going to be some bad. And if you just make the choice and to be there and to look for things without looking for things, if you know what I'm saying. Like, things are going to happen all the time. Just don't always be the boy who cried wolf and are screaming about everything. Everything is not, that urgent. So whatever's urgent, make it urgent. If it's something that can wait or something that you can just speak to without getting mad about everything, the girls are there to do their best, guys. So, be fair to them, and they are underworked, and appreciate them. I mean, the more you appreciate them, I guarantee you, the more they're going to work hard for you and your loved one. And, the ones that can't have anybody to speak for them definitely should be taken care of too. And so, it's a hard thing. It really bothers me. So I want to be able to help. I want to be able to help you figure it out. if I can. Like, I've got some resources below, and I just want you to be able to check those out and let me know if there's anything I can do, any advice, anything I can look into for you. I will be glad to do that. And I hope that you have a wonderful day. Thank you.